Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to set up the Logstash SNMP Input Plugin to pull a FortiGate firewall using the Simple Network Management Protocol SNMP version 3 and gather information to index in Elasticsearch and be able to search, analyze, and build dashboards and graphs and monitor your devices. SNMP, or the Simple Network Management Protocol, is a standardized protocol used to manage and monitor network devices such as routers, switches, firewalls, servers. It allows the administrators to monitor devices' health and monitor metrics, and also configure and change settings remotely. In this tutorial, we're setting up Logstash SNMP Input Plugin. We are not able to manage the firewall or the network device. We are only able to read from or pull the network device via SNMP. But the benefits are we are able to ingest in Elasticsearch, so we can control how long we're going to retain this data. It is also real-time processing. It is scalable, so we can monitor more devices by adding more hosts to the same configuration file in Logstash. And it is customizable, whether you want to monitor the whole OID tree or specific OIDs or object IDs, we can do that with Logstash. It requires a few steps to get it set up, so stay tuned. I will help you through all of these steps in this tutorial. The first thing we need to do is to log into a FortiGate device, and under the system here we open SNMP and we're going to download both of these MIB files. The MIB file, or the Management Information Base, is a structured database that defines all the parameters for the FortiGate device. It is a way for the network management system, or in our case Logstash, to query the different aspects of this device and gather information about the system status, for example, the configuration details and other performance metrics. And since we are on this page, we're going to enable SNMP agent and put the details here in this box, or in these boxes, and we're going to create a new SNMP version 3 user. I'm going to open the user that I created. I called it ingest_SNMP, and I selected authentication and privacy. You select the algorithms that both your device and Logstash support. So I selected for authentication SHA-1, and for privacy AES, or Advanced Encryption Standard. Under hosts, you put the IP address for the Logstash host, and it will ask you to put that IP as a trusted host under the administrators. See, I added this same IP here under the system administrators, and for the rest of the configuration I kept everything as default. I click OK, and you click Apply at the bottom of the page. Now, under the SNMP Input Plugin documentation, there is an important step we have to perform here. The MIB files that we downloaded from our FortiGate device are in the format of .mib. We have to change that format to a .dictionary file, or .dic, using this libsmi library tool. So the Logstash SNMP Input Plugin requires the importing of MIBs in a .dic format, or .dictionary. We're going to the libsmi library link here, and there is a link for the tools and another link to the tools web interface, and we're going to select the convert a MIB to another format, SMI dump. This is the same command line utility, just in a web interface. And we're going to select our MIB files here. We're going to upload them. The two FortiGate MIB files that we downloaded from the firewall, and the target format to be generated, We're going to select the Python dictionary representation, and we're going to hit submit. And this is the result. We have a very huge text file here. You can copy and paste it in a file on your Logstash system with a .dic extension, or if you install the libsmi on your Logstash system, you can use this command here, point to your MIB files that you can also upload to that Logstash system, and right away output a .dic formatted file that is ready to be used in the input plugin of your configuration file in Logstash. I'm on the Logstash host here on the CLI console. To install the libsmi, just gonna say dnf install libsmi, but I have it installed already, so it should do nothing here. And the MIB files that I downloaded from my Fortinet firewall are under my home directory. And if you want to run that command line utility, the SMI dump from here, so all you have to do is SMI dump -k-f Python for the Python format, and you point to the files and the core MIB file, and then the other MIB file, and I'm going to output to a file called fortinet-mib.dic, and I can export it to the same home directory. And now I have this Fortinet mib.dictionary file that I can use in the SNMP Input Plugin in the configuration file of Logstash. So after we set up the SNMP version 3 user on the firewall, and we imported the MIB files to the Logstash host, and we formatted it in the dictionary or the .dictionary format, now we need to start building our configuration file. And the first thing we need to make sure is that we have port 161 for UDP, or for SNMP 161 UDP is allowed in our firewall. And I have this port added, 161 UDP. You can add it with this command, add port 161 UDP permanent, and then you reload the firewall and you have it here. Now the Logstash system is ready to receive this data from the FortiGate firewall on port 161. The Fortinet MIB file in the .dictionary format, I moved it to the etc logstash directory. It is right here, so that Logstash user can have access to read that file. Now we're going to start by creating a Logstash configuration file. I'm going to call it FortiGate snmp.conf, and the format of the Logstash file is input, filters, and output. So the input is where we're receiving the data from, and we are going to be receiving the data from an SNMP Input Plugin. Then the filters is what we need to do with the data, parse it, change it, remove fields, add fields, and then the output is where we're going to send the data. We're going to send it to an Elasticsearch cluster, and this is the number one prerequisite, is to have an Elasticsearch cluster or at least one node and a Kibana instance running so that you can view your data. So under the input plugin, I'm going to copy paste the SNMP configuration so that I don't waste time. So we have the SNMP Input Plugin, and we're going to use this option. And I'll go to the settings here, the SNMP input configuration options. We have the get and we have walk, and use the walk option to retrieve the subtree of information for a given OID or OIDs, and it's an array. So I'm going to use the walk configuration option here. I tried get, but it didn't work for me. And I'm going to select these two object IDs. And the way I know what these are is I just looked online for a MIB browser. I found this link online. I will share it. It's just a free MIB browser, and I'm looking at the Fortinet FortiGate MIB. It's just a way to look at the object IDs, and the name or what component we're looking at. For example, here we can see we're looking at the FortiGate processors, and under that there's a subtree of FortiGate processor account, and you can see the object IDs that you need to use. For example, I'm using the FortiGate system CPU usage, so I'm using this object ID and this one for system memory usage, and that's what I have in my configuration file. Or you can take the whole tree for the object ID or the FortiGate system info object ID, and you can have all of that tree. Now the hosts is an important component. It's an array of hosts. Right now I have only one host, and all you have to select, or all you have to specify, is the IP address in this format, UDP, the IP address of your device. So this is the IP of my firewall, and port 161, SNMP version 3, retries 2 times, and it times out after 1,000 millisecond. Security name is the username, the SNMP version 3 username. Authentication protocol, the password, privacy protocol, and the password. And you have to select the security level so that you can type or select these two, the auth and priv algorithms or protocols. And the MIB path is an important one. This is the Fortinet MIB dictionary file that we're looking at. Interval, we're looking at, or we're pulling the FortiGate device every 10 seconds. And this is an option, object ID root skip. We're skipping the first 10 objects. I will skip it, or I will comment it out and just show you what that means. I'm just going to print the data to the console with std out in the output section. And I'm just going to stop the Logstash service. I'm going to run Logstash manually from user share Logstash bin Logstash path settings. I have to specify that, and then the file is at etc logstash conf.d, and it's called FortiGate snmp.conf. Now after it ran, I'm gonna stop it, and this is the output that we got. We have these two fields, the system memory usage and the FortiGate system CPU usage. And we have the host IP, the version of the document, and timestamp right here. Instead of ingesting this long field here, this is just the object ID in the SNMP MIB hierarchy. We can see It starts with ISO, or the International Organization for Standardization. They all start the same way here, and then we have private enterprises, and then this number is for Fortinet Enterprise, and then after that the FortiGate MIB, FortiGate System, FortiGate System Info. So we're going deeper and deeper in this tree structure. We can skip all of these, or we can remove them and just have the last unique field, and this is done by this option here that I will uncomment. So object ID root skip 10, I'm gonna skip 10 digits from this OID, and when I run it again, and now after I run it again, I got this clean or short field name, FortiGate System CPU usage, and FortiGate System memory usage. We can ingest them like this, or we can do some more changes. I'm gonna go back to the file and I'm gonna do some filtering, and I'm just going to copy paste what I have here, and I will explain them. So I'm doing a mutate filter. I'm removing host and the version, and then I'm going to use another mutate to rename these fields to host CPU usage and host memory usage, and these will match or conform with the Elastic Common schema, so I can put them in dashboards with other systems, and I can watch them all in one dashboard. And in the output section here, I'm going to add my Elasticsearch output. I have the hosts, I have an index name here, and username and password, and I'm specifying the CA cert to be able to authenticate with the Elasticsearch cluster. And I'm going to comment out std out, and to run it as a service, I'm just going to edit the pipeline.yaml file. I'll create a pipeline ID, I'll give it a name, and the path config is this configuration file that I created. And now I can say system control start Logstash. And when I log into Kibana here, I'm just going to open my stack management, index management, and I'm going to look for the index, and I have a new index created here with today's date, and I have 2 documents. If I reload in a bit, 3 documents. It's pulling the FortiGate every 10 seconds, so not much documents. I can create a data view here, or you can go to discover, and I have it created from before, and I have so far 5 hits or 5 documents. When I open one of the documents, I can see the host CPU usage and the host memory usage. Now I can create visualizations for these stats that I have. For example, the host CPU usage, I can select here a line graph, and I don't have much data. I'll just create it. I'll just say last value so that it is accurate. I'll save it. I'll put it in an existing dashboard. And I will create another visualization. Horizontal axis, I'll just say date histogram. And the vertical axis is the last value of host.memory usage. Host.memory usage, I'll select a line. It's around 52%. I'll save and return. And now I have these two graphs for my CPU usage and my memory usage coming from my FortiGate SNMP data ingested with Logstash. In this video, we configured the SNMP Input Plugin in Logstash to pull SNMP data from a FortiGate firewall and ingest it in Elasticsearch. If you found this video helpful, please press the like button and share the video. And consider subscribing if you want to see more tutorials on Elasticsearch and Logstash. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.